Greetings, seekers of truth and spiritual understanding. Have you ever experienced a moment where the universe seemed to be speaking directly to you, where coincidences stacked upon coincidences until they could no longer be dismissed as mere random chance? What if I told you that these synchronicities aren't just meaningful coincidences, but rather cosmic signposts, direct communications from the universe itself, indicating that your consciousness is on the verge of a monumental shift? The veil between what we perceive as reality and what truly exists is thinner now than it has been for millennia. Ancient civilizations understood this, from the Egyptian mystery schools to the hidden teachings of the Essenes. They all recognized that reality is far more malleable, far more responsive to consciousness than modern society has programmed us to believe. This knowledge has been systematically suppressed, hidden away from the masses because of its transformative power. When you truly understand the nature of synchronicity, you begin to realize that you are not merely a passenger in this reality. You are its co-creator. Think about those moments when you've been thinking of someone and suddenly they call, or when a specific number pattern appears everywhere you look, on license plates, receipts, timestamps, following you through your day like a persistent whisper from beyond the veil. Most people brush these experiences aside, conditioning themselves to ignore the universe's most direct method of communication. But you're different. You sense there's something more happening. You can feel it in the depths of your being, a knowing that transcends logical explanation. What most don't understand is that these synchronicities intensify dramatically before a quantum leap in consciousness. They cluster and accelerate as reality prepares to reorganize itself around your expanding awareness. The ancient Hermetic texts referred to this as the quickening, a period where the seeds of transformation that have been planted in your consciousness begin to germinate at an accelerated rate, pushing through the hardened soil of conditioned perception. Imagine for a moment that your current reality is like a dream from which you're beginning to awaken. The synchronicities you're experiencing are like those strange moments in a dream where your deeper self is trying to communicate that you're dreaming. They create cognitive dissonance, a crack in the simulation, allowing your true nature to peek through and recognize itself. What you're about to discover in this journey will fundamentally alter how you perceive your existence. The patterns I'm going to reveal aren't just interesting spiritual concepts. They are practical tools for navigating a reality that is far more responsive to your consciousness than you've been led to believe. This information exists at the intersection of quantum physics, ancient wisdom traditions, and the direct experience of those who have walked this path before you. If you're resonating with these words, if something within you is being stirred awake, then you're exactly where you need to be at this precise moment. This is not accidental. It's synchronicity itself that has guided you here. Join our community of awakened beings by subscribing to this channel now. Leave a comment sharing your most profound synchronicity experience. When you do this, you're not just engaging with content. You're declaring to the universe your readiness to step fully into your role as a conscious creator of reality. The journey we're embarking on together transcends the digital realm. It extends into the very fabric of existence itself. What if I told you that synchronicity isn't just a random spiritual phenomenon, but an actual language, the native tongue of the universe itself? This is knowledge that has been preserved in mystery schools and esoteric traditions for millennia, yet systematically removed from our collective awareness in modern times. The reason is clear. When you understand how to read synchronicity, you essentially learn how to decode the matrix of reality, allowing you to navigate it with intention rather than being carried along by its currents. The universe does not communicate through words, but through resonance, pattern, and meaningful coincidence. These communications become most apparent during periods of impending transformation. Think of it as cosmic turbulence before a quantum leap. The reality around you begins to glitch, showing signs that it's about to reconstruct itself in alignment with your evolving consciousness. These glitches take the form of recurring numbers, meeting exactly the right person at precisely the right moment, or encountering the exact piece of information you need when you most need it. Imagine your consciousness as a stone dropped into the still pond of the universe. The ripples you create extend outward into infinity, eventually returning to you as reflections of your own energetic signature. This is why the synchronicities you experience are uniquely tailored to your personal symbolic language. The universe speaks to each of us in the dialect we can best understand. For some, it might be repeated number sequences, what ancient Pythagoreans recognized as the building blocks of reality itself. For others, it might be recurring symbols, animals, or names that carry personal significance. When you begin to witness an acceleration of these synchronistic events, what Carl Jung, who first coined the term synchronicity, called an acausal connecting principle, it's as though the universe is increasing the volume of its communication. This happens specifically when you're approaching what quantum physicists would call a bifurcation point, a juncture where multiple probable realities exist simultaneously, and your consciousness is about to select which thread to follow. Consider the metaphor of a river approaching a delta. For miles, it flows as a single channel, but as it nears the ocean, it fragments into countless tributaries. This fragmentation represents the multiplication of potential realities as you approach a major life shift. The synchronicities you experience are like signposts indicating which tributary will lead you toward your highest expression. They are cosmic breadcrumbs guiding you home to yourself. How can you apply this understanding in your daily life? Start by maintaining what the ancient Egyptians called the watchful eye, a state of relaxed attention where you notice patterns without forcing them into existence. Record the synchronicities you experience in a dedicated journal. Look for themes, recurring symbols, and the emotional resonance they create within you. The emotional charge of a synchronicity is often the key to its significance. When something strikes you as meaningful beyond rational explanation, sit with that feeling. It's the universe tapping you on the shoulder, inviting deeper awareness. Most importantly, respond to these communications. Synchronicity isn't just a one-way transmission. It's an ongoing dialogue between your consciousness and the intelligent fabric of reality. When you acknowledge these signs and act upon their guidance, you strengthen the connection, making the signals clearer and more frequent. This is how you begin to develop fluency in the language of the universe. I'd love to hear your experiences with this cosmic language. How has synchronicity spoken to you? Share in the comments below the most profound instance where the universe seemed to be communicating directly with you. Your story might be exactly what another seeker needs to recognize their own synchronistic patterns. What the mainstream science and spiritual communities haven't fully revealed is that synchronicities follow a precise mathematical pattern of acceleration before a complete reality shift. This hidden knowledge, once guarded by ancient mystery schools and now confirmed by cutting-edge quantum physics, shows that when synchronistic events reach a certain frequency, what I call the acceleration threshold, your current reality framework begins to dissolve to make way for a new paradigm of experience. Think of your reality as an elaborate tapestry of interwoven energetic threads. Each synchronicity you experience is like a thread being pulled, creating a small distortion in the fabric. When enough threads are pulled within a short time frame, the entire tapestry begins to unravel, not in a destructive sense, but in a transformative one. This is what the ancient Hopi referred to as the time of unraveling, and what Tibetan Buddhists call bardo, the liminal space between realities where profound transformation becomes possible. Imagine yourself standing on a beach, watching the tide gradually recede. At first, the change is barely perceptible. The waterline withdraws inch by inch. But there comes a point when the pull of the ocean reaches critical mass, and suddenly the water rushes outward, exposing vast stretches of sand that were hidden moments before. This is precisely how reality shifts operate. The increasing synchronicities are like that gradually receding tide, and the acceleration threshold is the moment when everything suddenly rushes away, revealing aspects of existence that have always been there, but were previously submerged beneath your limited perception. This process follows what mathematicians call a logarithmic spiral, the same pattern we see in galaxies, hurricanes, and even the chambers of a nautilus shell. It's not linear progression, but exponential acceleration. The space between significant synchronicities grows shorter and shorter until they begin to overlap, creating what quantum physicists describe as coherence, a state where scattered waves of probability collapse into a single, amplified wave of manifestation. What does this mean for you in practical terms? It means you need to become acutely aware of the pace of synchronicities in your life. When you notice them clustering, appearing multiple times in a single day, or presenting variations on the same theme, recognize that you're approaching the acceleration threshold. This is not the time to retreat into fear or doubt, but rather to lean into the transformation with conscious awareness. During this phase, it's essential to practice what the ancient Taoists called Wu Wei, effortless action. Rather than forcefully trying to control the process, allow yourself to become a conscious participant in the unfolding. Make decisions from a place of centered awareness rather than reactivity. Pay special attention to synchronistic events that evoke a strong emotional response, as these are often doorways to your emerging reality. Most importantly, simplify your life during this phase. Reduce unnecessary commitments, create space for meditation and reflection, and spend time in natural settings where the universal energy flows more freely. The dissolution of an outmoded reality requires energetic space for the new to emerge. Just as a caterpillar must enter the chrysalis, a space of complete dissolution, before the butterfly can emerge, you too must create a sacred container for your transformation. If you're finding value in these revelations, take a moment right now to subscribe to this channel and activate the notification bell. By doing so, you're not just staying connected to this information, you're energetically aligning yourself with a community of conscious co-creators who are navigating similar transformational thresholds. Your engagement creates a field of resonance that amplifies these truths, potentially triggering powerful synchronicities for others who are ready to awaken. What few spiritual teachers have fully articulated is that synchronicities operate through a precise triangulation of three fundamental forces: mind, matter, and meaning. This trinity forms the foundation of reality manipulation that has been hidden from the masses, not because it's dangerous, but because it's extraordinarily empowering. When you understand this trinity, you begin to see that reality isn't happening to you, it's responding to you. The first element, mind, represents your conscious and subconscious thought patterns, beliefs, intentions, and expectations. The second element, matter, encompasses the physical world of objects, events, and circumstances that appear in your experience. The third and most crucial element, meaning, is the interpretive bridge that connects mind and matter, the significance you assign to events, and the narrative you construct around your experiences. Imagine your consciousness as a projector, continuously casting light through a film of your beliefs and expectations onto the screen of physical reality. Most people focus exclusively on changing the screen, trying to manipulate external circumstances without addressing the projector or the film. This is why conventional manifestation techniques often yield inconsistent results. True reality architects understand that synchronicities emerge when all three elements of the Trinity are aligned and coherent. Think of it like the ancient sacred technology of alchemy. The alchemists weren't merely trying to turn lead into gold in a literal sense. They were encoding the profound spiritual science of transformation. The lead represented the dense, seemingly fixed nature of physical reality. The gold symbolized the illuminated state of consciousness that recognizes reality as malleable. The philosopher's stone, the catalytic agent of transformation, was the alchemist's own awakened perception, the meaning-making faculty that could perceive the higher order within apparent chaos. When synchronicities begin clustering in your experience, they are actually revealing the relationship between these three aspects of the Trinity. They show you precisely where your mind, beliefs, thoughts, intentions, is interfacing with matter, physical reality, through the alchemy of meaning, interpretation, significance. These are moments when the veil between creator and creation temporarily thins, allowing you to glimpse the mechanism of reality construction itself. How can you work with this trinity in practical terms? Begin by becoming increasingly aware of the meanings you assign to events in your life. Notice how your interpretations often reflect your deepest beliefs rather than objective reality. Practice what Buddhist traditions call beginner's mind, approaching experiences with curious openness rather than immediate categorization. When synchronicities appear, resist the urge to immediately lock them into a single interpretation. Instead, allow multiple possible meanings to exist simultaneously, creating a quantum field of potential rather than a fixed narrative. Next, work consciously with your attention. In quantum physics, the observer effect demonstrates that particles behave differently when observed versus unobserved. Your consciousness works the same way. Where you place your attention determines which aspects of potential reality materialize in your experience. During periods of accelerating synchronicity, be especially mindful of where you direct your focus. The universe responds not to what you want, but to what you energetically broadcast through your consistent attention. Finally, cultivate emotional coherence, the alignment of your feelings with your highest intentions. Emotions are the energetic fuel that powers the manifestation process. When your emotional state contradicts your conscious desires, you create interference patterns that disrupt the clear manifestation of your intentions. Practice generating and sustaining the emotional frequencies of your desired reality before it physically manifests. This is what ancient wisdom traditions meant by faith, not blind belief, but the emotional embodiment of that which is still unseen. I'm curious about your experiences with this Trinity. Have you noticed how your interpretations shape the synchronicities that appear in your life? Share your insights in the comments below. Your perspective might be exactly the missing piece another seeker needs on their journey toward conscious reality creation. What many spiritual seekers don't yet realize is that clusters of synchronicities aren't merely signposts. They're actual energetic gateways to alternate timelines of experience. This knowledge, preserved in shamanic traditions and now emerging in leading-edge quantum consciousness research, reveals that when synchronicities reach critical mass in your experience, they create what physicists call quantum tunneling opportunities, moments when you can shift your consciousness from one probable reality to another without gradual transition. The multiverse theory, now taken seriously by mainstream physicists, suggests that all possible versions of reality exist simultaneously in superposition. What determines which version you experience is the resonant frequency of your consciousness. When synchronicities cluster intensely, they're actually showing you where the barriers between these parallel realities have grown thin, creating a traversable bridge between one timeline and another. These are moments when reality's malleability becomes most apparent and accessible. Imagine walking through a dense forest on a foggy morning. The path ahead is obscured, but occasionally the fog thins, allowing you to glimpse distant landmarks. These moments of clarity don't just show you what's ahead, they actually create energetic pathways that allow you to move toward those landmarks with greater ease. This is precisely how synchronistic gateways function. They don't just reveal alternate possibilities, they create energetic bridges that allow your consciousness to shift into resonance with those possibilities. Ancient cultures understood this principle intimately. The Aboriginal Australians spoke of song lines, invisible pathways across the land that could be navigated through sacred songs. These weren't merely metaphorical constructs, but actual descriptions of how consciousness interfaces with the fabric of reality. When you sing in resonance with a particular timeline, through your thoughts, emotions, and actions, you activate the synchronistic pathway that leads to that reality. What's most fascinating about these gateways is that they operate outside linear time. The scientific principle of retrocausality, where future events influence past events, helps explain why synchronicities often appear to prepare you for opportunities before you're consciously aware of them. Your future self, having already made the timeline jump, is essentially reaching back through the quantum field to create the synchronistic breadcrumbs that lead your present consciousness toward that particular reality thread. How can you work with these synchronistic gateways in practical terms? First, recognize that intense clusters of synchronicity represent invitations to shift timelines, not random spiritual phenomena. When meaningful coincidences multiply around a specific theme or possibility, the universe is showing you an available quantum pathway. These are moments to pay extraordinary attention to your choices, as they carry amplified manifestation potential. Practice what quantum physicists call superposition of thought, holding multiple possibilities as simultaneously real without collapsing them into a single outcome through premature judgment. This state of consciousness, which Eastern traditions call non-attachment, keeps the quantum gateways open rather than prematurely closing them through rigid expectation. Remember that the observer effect in quantum physics demonstrates that possibilities remain fluid until consciously collapsed through observation. Most importantly, when you notice a synchronistic gateway opening, take inspired action that aligns with the emerging timeline. Synchronicities often present themselves as invitations, unexpected opportunities, chance meetings, or spontaneous impulses that don't fit your normal patterns. These are moments to step outside your comfort zone and allow your intuitive knowing to guide your choices rather than habitual thinking. The key is discernment, distinguishing between ego-based attractions and soul-aligned opportunities. True synchronistic gateways will carry a sense of resonance that transcends logical analysis. If this information is expanding your understanding, please take a moment to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. Your engagement doesn't just support this work. It actually creates an energetic resonance that attracts similar consciousness, amplifying these truth frequencies across the collective field. Together, we're not just sharing information, we're actively participating in the awakening of human consciousness during this pivotal evolutionary moment. What spiritual teachers rarely prepare you for is the profound dissolution phase that often precedes the most significant reality shifts. This phase, what I call the dark night of synchronicity, is when synchronicities appear to contradict each other, creating a state of profound uncertainty that precedes quantum rebirth. This hidden knowledge, preserved in esoteric traditions, from the Gnostics to the Sufis, reveals that the most significant transformations require a complete dissolution of your existing reality framework before the new can fully emerge. During this phase, the synchronicities you experience may seem chaotic, contradictory, or even disturbing. This isn't a sign that you're off track, quite the opposite. It indicates that your consciousness is in the process of radical reconfiguration. What you're experiencing is the quantum field responding to your evolving awareness by presenting multiple potential realities simultaneously, creating what appears to be contradiction, but is actually multidimensional truth, revealing itself through linear perception. Imagine standing at the center of a vast, multidimensional web where every strand represents a possible reality thread. As your consciousness expands, you become increasingly aware of more strands in the web. Before your perception fully adjusts to this expanded awareness, these multiple reality threads can appear confusing or contradictory. This is precisely what ancient mystics described when they spoke of the cloud of unknowing, a necessary phase of spiritual disorientation that precedes higher integration. The Tibetan Book of the Dead describes this process with remarkable precision. What we call death is actually the dissolution of a particular configuration of consciousness, followed by the emergence of a new configuration. This doesn't just happen at physical death, it happens at every major consciousness shift throughout your life. The bardo state, the liminal space between configurations, is characterized by confrontation with paradox, the dissolution of familiar reference points, and the simultaneous appearance of terrifying and enlightening visions. This is a perfect description of the dark night of synchronicity. What's essential to understand about this phase is that it serves a profound purpose in your spiritual evolution. Just as a caterpillar must dissolve into primordial goo within the chrysalis before reforming as a butterfly, your consciousness must undergo a similar dissolution before quantum rebirth can occur. The seemingly contradictory synchronicities you experience during this phase are actually dismantling the rigid thought structures that limit your perception, creating space for a more expanded awareness to emerge. How can you navigate this challenging phase effectively? First, develop comfort with uncertainty. Practice what Zen Buddhists call not knowing mind, a state of openness that doesn't rush to premature conclusions or cling to familiar interpretations. When contradictory synchronicities appear, rather than forcing them into your existing paradigm, allow them to reshape your paradigm. Understand that confusion is not failure. It's the necessary predecessor to higher integration. Practice what ancient wisdom traditions call witnessing consciousness, the capacity to observe your experience without becoming completely identified with it. During intense synchronistic events, maintain a portion of your awareness as the stable witness, even as another part of you fully experiences the unfolding phenomena. This dual awareness creates a coherent bridge between your dissolving reality framework and your emerging one. Most importantly, surrender to the process with trust. The dissolution phase feels threatening to the ego, which is structured around certainty and control. But from the perspective of your higher self, this dissolution is actually liberation, the release of outmoded constructs that no longer serve your evolution. Trust that your consciousness knows exactly what configuration it needs to release and what it needs to integrate. The synchronicities you experience, even the confusing ones, are perfect reflections of this intelligent evolutionary process. What emerges from this dark night of synchronicity is what quantum physicists might call a super-radiant consciousness, a state of awareness where your perception and the quantum field achieve such coherence that manifestation becomes nearly instantaneous. In this state, synchronicities no longer appear as occasional meaningful coincidences, but as the constant natural flow of a reality that is responding directly to your consciousness in real time. I'm curious about your experiences with this dark night phase. Have you gone through periods where synchronicities seemed contradictory or overwhelming? How did you navigate this dissolution process? Share your journey in the comments below, as your experience might provide exactly the guidance another seeker needs to navigate their own quantum rebirth. As we draw the threads of our exploration together, a profound truth emerges. Synchronicities are not just meaningful coincidences or spiritual curiosities. They are the visible manifestation of the universe's intelligent response to your evolving consciousness. They reveal the living, responsive nature of reality itself. What we've covered today isn't just information, it's an initiation into a radically different way of perceiving and participating in the creation of your reality. The language of synchronicity reveals that the universe is constantly communicating with you through a personalized symbolic language. The acceleration threshold shows you how to recognize when these communications are building toward a complete reality shift. The synchronicity trinity of mind, matter, and meaning provides the framework for conscious reality creation through the alignment of these three elements. Synchronistic gateways offer you access to alternate timelines of experience, allowing quantum jumps in consciousness. And the dark night of synchronicity prepares you for the profound dissolution that precedes quantum rebirth. These 5 aspects form a complete technology of consciousness transformation, a sacred science that has been preserved by mystery traditions throughout human history. What's remarkable about our current moment is that these once hidden teachings are now emerging into collective awareness precisely when humanity is undergoing an unprecedented evolutionary leap. This is not coincidental, it's synchronistic on a collective scale. Consider for a moment the larger implications of what we've explored. If reality is fundamentally responsive to consciousness, and if synchronicities reveal the mechanism of this responsiveness, then you are not merely a passive observer of an objective world. You are an active participant in a co-creative relationship with the conscious universe. Every thought you think, every meaning you assign, every emotion you embody is contributing to the collective reality we all experience. This understanding places immense responsibility in your hands, but also immense possibility. The synchronicities appearing in your life right now are not random. They are precise reflections of your current evolutionary edge. They show you exactly where consciousness is inviting you to expand, exactly which limiting beliefs are ready for transcendence, and exactly which potential futures are available for your conscious selection. The accelerating synchronicities many of us are experiencing collectively point to something profound. We are approaching a species-wide acceleration threshold. The old paradigm of separation, scarcity, and competition is dissolving, creating space for a new paradigm of unity, abundance, and cooperation to emerge. This transition isn't happening to us. It's happening through us, through the collective field of human consciousness that we are all contributing to in every moment. In practical terms, this means that your individual awakening process is not separate from the collective awakening of humanity. The synchronicities you navigate and the reality shifts you undergo contribute directly to our shared evolutionary trajectory. This is why conscious engagement with synchronicity is not merely a personal spiritual practice, it's a form of service to all of life. As we move forward from this moment, I invite you to approach the synchronicities in your life with renewed awareness. See them not just as interesting coincidences, but as sacred invitations to conscious evolution. Notice when they begin to accelerate and cluster, recognizing these as moments of extraordinary manifestation potential. Work consciously with the trinity of mind, matter, and meaning, aligning your thoughts, circumstances, and interpretations. When synchronistic gateways appear, step through them with courage and trust. And when you encounter the dark night of synchronicity, surrender to the dissolution process, knowing that quantum rebirth awaits on the other side. The universe is not happening to you, it's happening through you. The synchronicities appearing in your experience are the visible threads in the cosmic tapestry you are weaving with your consciousness. Every moment offers a new opportunity to weave with greater awareness, greater intention, and greater love. If this exploration has expanded your understanding, please support this work by subscribing to our channel, hitting the like button, and sharing this video with others who might benefit from these insights. And stay tuned for our next video, where we'll explore another aspect of the awakening journey. Until then, remain awake to the synchronicities appearing in your life. They are nothing less than the universe inviting you into conscious co-creation with the intelligence of all that is.